Hi guys, welcome to our talk today. I see Andrew is here, Andrew Munns and Andrew Flynn. Hey Andrew, and Zelda and Barry's here again. Hi Barry, our ink pirate. Nick Ventic, John, welcome everybody. It's so lovely to see you. We missed last week and we missed everybody. So this week it's great to have everybody on again. This week we're having a very interesting topic. It's called how the digital age will influence you. We're talking about cryptocurrencies, artificial intelligence, and the fall of an empire. And I bet it intrigued some of you. Andrew, I think the cryptocurrency maybe one was the one that got you. I don't know about the other people, but Warwick, what is this that we are talking about? This fall of the empire, what is going on?
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. It's great to be back on. We had a break over the end of the month, April, and I can't believe it's May, hey? Anyway, happy May to all the moms, belated wishes there for the mothers all over the world, and especially in South Africa. It's strange, the UK and the US and South Africa have different dates. It's weird. Anyway, so how is the digital age going to influence us? So there's some significant things going on right now that are going to change the way we live in the next 5-10 years. One of them is cryptocurrency. Another one is artificial intelligence. And I think the kind of dark horse is the fall of an empire and the rise of another one. So there's going to be a fall of one empire at least, and then a rise of at least one other. And they may be slightly different to what people might think or might know. So this might be completely all news to them. But here we go. Don't think that we're going to end up in any kind of wars, hopefully. But I think what is going to happen is there have been already for many years actually between China and the US, a currency war. And it's one of the reasons since especially 2008, with my background in financial markets and things like that, the crisis that came out of that essentially brought the Chinese to an idea that, well, maybe, if the dollar doesn't have to be backed by gold, and I don't want to get too technical, but because, I'm not sure what background everybody's got, but essentially what happened is Nixon took the gold standard away from the dollar in 1971, which means that before that, the dollar was linked to gold. Okay, so for every dollar there was a piece of gold sitting in Fort Knox, which is now presumed to be empty, actually, because since then he took away the gold connection to the dollar, and it literally became paper money. Before that, it was paper money, but it was linked to gold. Now they can print trillions, and they have been doing this last year, of dollars, racking up loads of debt in federal debt. Okay, in other words, governmental debt through this pandemic. And what is it going to cause is hyperinflation. What's hyperinflation? Well, basically, if you think that the basket of inflation, where you spend everyday goods, let's say it's things like eggs, bread, milk, food, meat, petrol, even things, especially things that are imported, anything that's imported, appliances, cars, phones, all of that kind of stuff, in normal quote unquote inflation has been pegged at about 6 to 7%. Okay, so in other words, if you don't buy it this year and you buy it next year, you're saving up to pay it in cash, you're going to pay between 6 to 7% more this time next year. Okay, the problem with hyperinflation is that's not how it works. With hyperinflation, why is this being caused? Well, because there's been banks all around the world, reserve banks all around the world. So us at SARB, South African Reserve Bank. You've got the Fed in the States, and so on and so forth. All these reserve banks are printing trillions of their own currency to basically keep the economies afloat through the pandemic, pay for all these furloughs, pay for all these claims, pay for the losses, blah, 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 blah. What that creates is an artificial increase in the price of goods. Okay, so hopefully you guys are all with me on this. But essentially, it's going to create a devaluation of all of our currencies. Where your rand was worth a rand last year, this time around, this year your rand's worth 80 cents. that make sense? So it's kind of like what the guy, what was very interesting to me about years and years and years ago. I watched, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the bread situation. The bread situation is a perfect example, and dog food is the same thing. But we'll stick with bread. Now, bread used to be supplied in a 1 kilogram bag. I don't know if you guys remember that. Then it went to 900 grams. And how much did you start paying for it? Was it the same or was it more? You guys remember this? Is it even important in your life? I don't know. Probably not. But I watch these things. I'm a pattern analyst. Okay, that's why I got into the economics and financial markets and stuff. And so anyway, back to the what happened after the 900 grams? It fell down to 800 grams. And did the price stay the same? No, the price went up. So not only now has the amount of bread in your packet going down, but the price you're paying for the amount that you should be getting and thought you used to be getting is up, right? So you get a double whammy. Not only are you getting less, but you for not only the same amount, but now more. Okay. I think it's now 700 grams in a bag. Go and have a look. I don't know. I can't keep track of these things. It's become very, very subliminal, you know. But that's just a small idea of a basket of what changes in your life, in your daily life. Now, how does the digital age work, and how is this going to affect us as far as cryptocurrency goes, as well as in artificial intelligence? And the final thing is the fall of an empire. Well, essentially, we go back to that original story of the US and the China debacle over the dollar. What ended up happening is a lot of stuff has gone on in the last 10 years, especially around cryptocurrency, and also the linkage of the dollar being the world global currency. So all trade at the moment runs through the dollar, okay? A very, very small amount runs through the Chinese yuan. But even when you try and trade in the yuan, which is the Chinese currency, most of the people didn't want to do that. Didn't want to have an option of being able to do that. Even if you gave them the option to do that, it's very difficult to do that because people can't globally really you still have to go through the dollar to get to the yuan, okay? So with the decline of the US at the moment, all right, and it is in decline, okay, it's in a sham. It's in the shenanigans that are going on there is insane, okay, on all sorts of levels. The US dollar is taking a dive, and not only are the Chinese, but so are the Indians, for example, looking at cryptocurrency and or their own currencies to be debenched or unhooked from the dollar, okay, as the base world currency. So as far as digital age goes, what's the alternative? If you can't go with the dollar, or if the dollar is going to become this, or the world trade is going to become an issue in terms of what currency can you use now as a base currency, well, hello, 2009, Mr. Satoshi rocks up with his new blockchain formula, and boom, cryptocurrency comes along. And at first, it's all a bit of a fad, and everybody's like, what's this stuff? And it's all a bit of a joke, and Bitcoin, and it was at $1 when it started, and now it's at 55, I think, $6,000 for one Bitcoin. And there's Ethereum and all these other things. So it's like a different language. But literally all it is, guys, is it's taken the same concept as what happened when Nixon unhooked gold from the dollar and just made it digital. So now instead of you carrying around a piece of paper saying that this value of this $1 is $1, apparently, you can carry around a digital coin or parts of a digital coin on a digital wallet, and it has a value that's tethered to the dollar currently. Okay, and by tethered I mean it's hooked to the dollar currently. Depending on which pair you can actually doesn't have to be tethered to the dollar, but that's the general kind of perspective at the moment. But here's the other thing. So with the digital age coming in and the pandemic, what has it done for you in your life? Okay, what has it done in all of our lives? I think a lot of us have come to the realization it's a completely different paradigm right now, right? And so people are like, well, if I've been able to live at home pretty much and find alternative work, which a lot of people have done, and or upskill themselves with new skills, i.e. digital-based skills, right? What I'm hearing and what I'm reading about, what I'm listening to, I'm talking about with my circle of friends and all of that, is that essentially digital age has been coming along for a long time, but this last year has just it's broken the back of the information age. What I mean by that, well, schooling can be online, education's online, shopping is online, and now currency is mainstream online. So any one of us, if you're looking into NFTs, okay, which is a non-fungible token, is something also another completely kind of different language going on here. But NFTs essentially enables anybody now to to earmark or stamp or digitally kind of mark a digital item. So in the old days, when I was a lot younger and didn't have kids, I I used to play a lot of online games, one specifically. And what a lot of people used to do is that when they were really good at these games, they used to go and find items or make items, and then they would give them special powers, give them special abilities, whatever the case is, in game. Now, if I went to these people in game, okay, and I said to them, I want to buy that thing, we would have a transaction outside of the game that was dollar based, so that person, that other player, would give me this weapon or the spell or the special shirt or shield or skin, whatever it is, right? And then I would pay them in dollars or PayPal, whatever, and then they would give me this thing in the game. And now I've got the thing that I want in my game, in my virtual world. Here comes Ready Player One in the real, okay? So NFTs essentially allow you to digitally mark something as yours, and then you can then sell that to anybody who's interested in buying it. So there's somebody that's now promoting. She's done, this is insane, but she's given away a piece of art, a small piece of art, which is about I think it's about 15 centimeters, about 15 centimeter canvas for the last 14 years for free every day. Okay, she takes donations and she takes Patreon. She has a Patreon kind of account, which is like you can have it's a membership kind of thing where you can get access to exclusive stuff. If you don't know what Patreon is, patreon.com. Take a look. It's quite a cool idea to use as a business model. Okay, you can take donations. You can have exclusivity in creating like a little community of your own there with products and or digital stuff that you can do like we're doing right now. Anyway, this woman gave away 2,809 paintings in the last 14 years, not charging anything for free, and she paid the shipping herself. Okay, and she took custom designs. And what she's decided to do is she found that there was Beeple, I think it's Beeple. Beeple is somebody who's a famous artist, and he took a photograph, or they took a photograph of all a collection of all of their artwork, okay, in a, what do you call it, in a collage type thing. It's sold as an NFT for $69 million on auction. Let me just repeat that.
Crazy.
Hope you're all sitting down. $69 million. It's not the painting. It's none of the painting.
It's just a digital asset.
It's a digital asset that's now owned by somebody who has a digital persona who can claim rights to that digital piece of a photograph. And it was done through cryptocurrency. It was done through cryptocurrency. Are you with me? So yeah, PayPal has probably had its day. I think it's entrenched at the moment, but I think PayPal's going out. So that wasn't the fall of the empire I was looking at, but actually, and just going through this in my mind, I think if they don't shift, if PayPal doesn't introduce its own kind of cryptocurrency, it's out. And likewise, any other kind of payment type processor. Okay, and I think banks. Whoa, you see, this is where so a separate fall of the empire is not the one I'm referring to, but actually now that I think about it, banks are probably the next ones on the list, because we will no longer need a bank anymore, because everything you do will be run through a cryptocurrency exchange. If you think about it, okay, you won't need a bank anymore. So other banks have to seriously get into the digital age themselves, and bring in their own cryptocurrency or exchanges, or I think they're out. They're part of the industrial age. Okay, so consider that in the next 5 to 10 years. But if we're moving on, so I hope you guys are following me. Are there any questions at this stage? Tanya, have you got a question?
Not at the moment. I've got some comments, but I want when you get to a point, I'll give some more comment. That's fine.
All right, cool. Yeah. So again, cryptocurrencies. So I've been looking at doing so. Tanya introduced me to cryptocurrencies as a scalp trading thing. Now, I used to do the all share index. I used to run my own trading room. This was back in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. I worked with Standard Bank. I was in fact, their only outside external trainer that came in to teach their private bankers how to do better, how to perform better, investing in stocks and the JC basically. And I had the only contract, a national contract with them, that the only people. So Simon Brown is the guy we had in contact with there, and he was nominated as the best broker in South Africa, I think twice actually. So yeah, that's part of my background. But I think what's happening with cryptocurrency is that we're going to end up having a situation where you're going to end up, even countries are going to be at the traditional sort of sense of how countries work are going to change, because Ready Player One is it's such a kind of surreal thing. But I think what we're going to end up having, guys, is not only we're going to have these digital currencies, these virtual currencies, but I think we're going to end up getting virtual communities. You're going to get people who follow this Dogecoin, and they become so entrenched with something, with a particular currency, that whoever owns a Dogecoin could end up moving countries to a place where Dogecoin can effectively buy ownership to a jurisdiction, if that makes sense. I mean,
sounds like the mafia.
talking evaluation, but you're talking evaluation, a capital valuation of in the billions, okay, if not trillions. So they can buy their own island, as a group. If you're a Dogecoin owner, or if you're a Bitcoin owner, whatever the case is, if and people are becoming involved in crypto to such a degree that I think it's going to create communities in an old sense of the way. So in some ways, it's going to be cryptocurrencies is going to bring us into the digital age, but it's also going to take us back a bit into kind of the medieval ages, where you band together because you weren't happy with the village next door, so you went and joined you went and made your own village. That was kind of how it worked in the Middle Ages, or even before the Middle Ages even. But my point is, the cryptocurrency story is going to turn our entire culture, and even the financial system, how that all works over the next 5 to 10 years. And here's a couple of the things that I've heard so far before we move on to the artificial intelligence. And you guys can look this up yourselves, do your own research, whatever the case is. But essentially, the US dollar is likely to be unhooked as the world currency, and it's going to likely shift into some kind of, or multiple cryptocurrencies. Okay. And the Chinese are a bit of a dark horse here, because we could find the situation where the Chinese want to control their own cryptocurrency. In other words, they create their own currency, which will then be benched to other cryptocurrencies, but basically move away from the dollar that way. Then we have the Indians who have the ability to, they've kind of banned crypto, then they brought it back. But they also have the ability now where they're bringing on 20 to 30 million people a year onto the digital service arena, if that makes sense. So if you think of an industry, if you're an engineer, or if you're a whatever category of professional you're in, majority of people over the last 12 months have had to go digital in some way or other. Okay. Now, India has invested billions into getting LTE, or what do you call it, like Wi-Fi via mobile, okay, infrastructure. And how does this affect all of us? Well, it affects us because essentially they get Wi-Fi at the moment. I think it's about the cheapest in the world. Certainly in the top 5 cheapest Wi-Fi in the world. It's something like a fifth of the price in the States. Okay. And why is this important? Well, anybody who now wants to do digital work online, and that's how the world is now moving, is going to have to compete with India. Okay, because you've got 20 to 30 million new people coming on every year, coming online, and in this last year, I think it's probably more like 200-300 million. And all they need is a phone, and Zoom, and so on and so forth. And this is where a little bit of artificial intelligence comes into play, because there's so much availability of the digital age. People are becoming more open to artificial intelligence being used in our lives. And how do I mean? Well, essentially, there are a number of applications in health. And so if you're a doctor at the moment, okay, cool, you probably still have 10 to 20 years worth of service time. But I would not want to be a student getting into being a doctor now, for example. Because I reckon artificial intelligence in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be out making that largely. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but I reckon artificial intelligence, for example, is going to push specific industries way into the digital age. I mean, you're talking about having surgery being done by robots remotely. Okay. The other, on another note, aside from the health sector, you're also going to have the military and defense sector moving into artificial intelligence. Okay. So all monitoring, even warfare, is going to move over there. Not that it hasn't already, but it's going to be to even a more sort of deeper aspect, if that makes sense.
Warwick, this all sounds so sci-fi, and but I remember like years ago when I was, well, it sounds like it's now very long ago. It's not that long ago, but anyway, when I was a youngster, I was watching these sci-fi movies, and I'm like, whatever. And the things we saw like 30 years ago in movies is what's happening today, and and it's just happening at such a increased rate, speed rate. It's everything is moving faster and getting to a point faster. And we'll talk about the impact on your lifestyle and how you can harness this in some way, or cut ourselves off completely from this. So that's the two choices you have: harness it or stay away. But yeah, it sounds all far-fetched, but it happens so quickly. And even with cryptocurrency, who would have thought when I was 13 years old that this is going to be what the money is going to be? And we'll get to how do we use it, how do we apply it? But carry on, Warwick.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a bit of trading now this last week or two, and I mean, in the one, in one 20-minute scalp, which is like you're looking at a 1-minute chart, which is really super fast. But in one 20-minute session of sitting at my computer, I was very fortunate. I think I happened to literally land on a cryptocurrency, which was CKB. I can't remember what that stands for, but a CKB/USDT. And I mean, it was rallying, and I hit 20% profit in that 20 minutes. So if I had $1,000 in there, I would have made $200 in 20 minutes. So that's the potential. Obviously, not all the moves move 20% in 20 minutes, but later that day, I got another 5% on the same thing. Just waited for another trade, and I took 5%. Went 7%, I got 5%. And I was 25% up for the day. I had a couple of losers after that, so the 5% kind of got wiped out. But that's what happens. I'm still happy I had 20% up. But that's one of the ways you can do this. If you want to get involved with cryptocurrencies directly, you can actually learn how to trade it. But an alternative way of getting into cryptocurrencies is by earning cryptocurrency. That artist I was talking about earlier on, she's not part of Beepol, but what she was doing is she was promoting her art. She took a photograph of every one of those 2,809 paintings, and she listed it on as an NFT, okay, non-fungible token. And she was talking it up that she wants to, she's interested in looking for a buyer for her art, this collection of art pieces for $500,000. I don't know if she's gotten it yet. I don't know if she sold it. I don't know what the story is, but you can check her up on YouTube. I can't remember her name, but don't think it'll take too long to find her out if you type a few things in there. But anyway, my point is that people are using cryptocurrency and NFTs as an opportunity. Okay. There are people that are now paying, instead of using PayPal, they're using cryptocurrency to pay people. Yeah,
well, when I sell a sheep, I ask the people to pay me in Bitcoin.
Why not?
And it's just on the farm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the thing is that there's the flip side of that, Sonia. The flip side of that, guys, is that, well, you may have something that somebody else wants that you can say you want to be paid in cryptocurrency, right? And the beauty about this is that, Twitter can close your account anytime. Facebook can close your account anytime. They can deplatform you. I mean, I had it the other day. My FICA thing hadn't been sorted out, and for the bank, and guess what they did? They froze my account. Boom. Yeah, been banking with them for years. Not even a phone call, no nothing. Your account's closed. And for 2 weeks, I fought with them. 2 weeks. Luckily, I had I could sort something out. But for somebody who didn't have that kind of thing, and they might have been stuck, guess what? The banks, they don't care, man. You just one of millions. With cryptocurrency, the way I understand it is that there isn't a way for that to be deplatformed right now. It's so well. This is the problem, is that it's probably not the wise thing to say that it's infallible, because probably nothing is infallible, but the beauty is decentralized, whereas a bank is not decentralized. The bank is a company that owns all the bank accounts, and they have to report to the federal bank, or the South African Reserve Bank, or whichever bank it is in whichever country you're in. Those kind of things. And it's the same as Twitter. Twitter owns us all as users. They can decide to switch off
your content. And your content.
Exactly. So they can decide to switch South Africa off tomorrow, somewhere. And they can put sanctions on anyone, really. But with cryptocurrency, as I understand it, because there's so many different servers and connections in the blockchain, it would have to take something catastrophic for that to happen. So what's happening really is crypto is essentially replicated across the globe right now, and the more it gets entrenched, the more it's going to become a mainstream, and the more acceptable it's going to become as a financial system, right? So get in it as soon as you can, learn about it, find out what you can do with it, start putting I don't know if people have got websites and things like that, but you can create a wallet on Luna, I think it is, in South Africa. You can help me with that, Tanya, but you can create and give people your wallet address or your address to accept crypto on, instead of being paid in PayPal. And guess what? There's the fee. Okay, the fees to make a deposit and fees to withdraw about $20. That's a bit expensive, but otherwise there's no fees. Zero transaction.
It depends what coin you're transferring it from, etc. So you've, like in Binance, there's much less fees, altcoin trader, etc. So you must just go do your research. But sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, Warwick, but that's where I want to get to as well. How can we use this? Because we're sitting on a homestead, and I'm from self-sufficient homesteading and gardening, for those of you who don't. I think everybody knows. I just see Andrew for the first time, Andrew Munts. So I'm speaking from a self-sufficient homesteading point of view. So how can we use this? What can we do? We can either pretend like it doesn't exist and ignore it, or we can take this as early. I mean, it's going on for a long time now, but it's still, you can still get into it and still call it early, if I can call it that much. So get in and start using it to your advantage. Look at things to use it to your advantage. I've posted some links in the chat there where you can start educating yourself a bit, and especially that was about NFTs. But Barry, I've got a question for you. You made a comment here. You said NFTs is a dragon of a different mother. Interesting, the damage it does to the environment. I would love to hear your view on that. I would just like some insight on your comment over there, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and just giving us a very quick rundown of what you mean.
Barry?
Barry's gone to get coffee. Okay. Okay, so guys, go read up on NFTs. That's when I heard that Binance is launching an NFT platform in June. The first thing I did was I said to my kids, listen, kids, go look up what is an NFT. Go look up what it's for, how you can use it. My daughter's an artist. She's 15 years old. My son likes designing. I said, go look how you can use it, embrace it and use it and start to earn money. There's a 5-year-old girl that sold her scribblings for something ridiculous. It was in the millions, and it's scribbles. So go look on the internet, what is an NFT? What can you submit as an NFT, and go use it. There's a competition on Binance at the moment. It's ridiculous. Actually, I was laughing. If you trade a certain coin in futures, and futures is dangerous stuff. So don't go there if you don't know. But if you trade it there, you can win these NFT icons. It's literally an emoji. And it's an NFT that is a limited edition that will be sold for ridiculous amounts of money, and it's the silliest looking thing on earth. It doesn't have to make sense for me, as long as I know that I can use it to earn an income. I don't care if it doesn't look nice to me or if it doesn't make sense.
This is it.
I'm going to sit on my homestead and earn money, whichever way this digital age is going to offer me the opportunity to do. Okay, sorry, Warwick, carry on.
No, exactly that, Tony. I mean, and the thing is like, like the old smiley face, excuse my language, but cuck happens type of sticker, bumper sticker type stuff. I mean, you could get, if there's some cool saying that you've got, or motto or poem even, or whatever the case is, you make it turn it into something digital, you put it on the NFT network, and boom, you could sell it, So if you're an artist or a creative writer or somebody who's into a bit of marketing or a copywriter or something like that, and you join up with an artist or something like that, I think there's some good scope around that. Not only that, but you've also got the opportunity of getting onto YouTube, making YouTube channels. I mean, doing this kind of talk is exactly the kind of opportunity that people could, you might not get cryptocurrency out of it, but you could certainly If you're a musician, you could be making songs or singing on YouTube. There's a father-daughter couple. There's a father-daughter duo, if you like, duet.
Yes, that little girl.
Yeah, and I mean they sing, phenomenally. And I mean now they've come out with a CD, and then they've got stuff on Spotify, and they've got stuff on on YouTube as well. But they're doing amazing stuff in the digital age, because you can, as long as you got some followers,
Yes.
you can make merch, you can sell cups and t-shirts and all sorts of goodies. There's a guy that I'm following that's really amazing. He's called Bobby Duke, and he's an artist. He's a creative guy. He makes all sorts of strange stuff out of he makes these projects. So he takes pebbles that he finds on the beach, on the riverbed, and he makes a video of this on YouTube. He turns it into some cool, funky pendant with using drill bits and all sorts. The other day, he actually made a full real Minecraft. I don't know if you guys know about Minecraft, but I'm sure you do if you've got kids or grandkids. But he made this full Minecraft full model Minecraft scene of a waterfall and the little green monster and a cow and all sorts of other stuff. And he makes videos of this, and then I don't know if he sells it. I think he just keeps it for his kids. But he's got like 3 million subscribers now. So there was a video there of him getting his 300th subscriber, and now he's just done a video of his 3 millionth subscriber. Now, how does this work for us in the digital? Well, basically, the more people that watch your videos, the more money you can make through ads, essentially, on YouTube. And there's some people, and then on top of that, so that's sort of the direct way. Okay, that's the simplest way of doing it, is that you can get more views. You get paid per view, per 1,000 views. Okay, but the other way is that he's now doing what's called sponsorship. So sponsored, he gives specific manufacturers or companies sponsorship rights. So basically, he'll go onto one of his videos and he starts talking, and then he says, today's because he uses a lot of this, the resins. Today's resin's been sponsored by Eco Resin, and they're the best guys to use, and I love them, and I've had them forever, and I'm going to make a product out of this stuff now. And he makes a cool product out of the resin. And I mean, it's really cool. It's stuff like he's got to be, I would say he's kind of got to be, he's kind of like I'll put him on like a sort of a Leonardo da Vinci type level of creativity with his hands, because he does some phenomenal stuff. Go have a look, Bobby Duke. Is not surprised, but his videos are also quite comedic as well. But that's one of another opportunity, getting on YouTube, creating a Patreon account, that type of stuff. Hacksmith.co.ca, hacksmiths or hacksmith.ca. This guy started an engineering company just out of varsity. He's like, I don't really want to go make the same thing over and over in an engineering firm. So he started a YouTube channel at home in the garage. It's built up to the point now where, and their business model, their business model is, we make YouTube videos. We're not an engineering firm. We don't even make more than one item. We make one-off items, and then we get sponsorship for them, and we get YouTube viewing hours. So the more viewing hours we have, the more money we make, and then we get sponsorship. And they get sponsors like games, apps on phones and stuff like that. So War of Robots and what's this other one that the World of Tanks and stuff like that. And one of the shows, what did they do? They made an actual tank, a mini tank that could fire. Literally engineered it from scratch. Every piece of machinery in his office has been paid for basically through YouTube. So the digital age is even had a South African. Funny enough, he even had a South African guy intern show up there for a month, and you know what his project was? To create a real working Spider-Man web, the web shooter, one that would actually, and they did it. They managed to do it. It's not beautiful. It's not sort of I don't think you can do more than one at it. I think you can do two, one per hand, and that's it, you're done. But hey, yeah.
And Warwick, one thing that also strikes me about this whole digital aids thing, one doesn't have to go do a degree anymore. You don't have to have an accounting degree or
No.
a medical doctor degree. The people without the degrees that are using the digital platforms very effectively are making more money than the people with the degrees, much
And
more, exponentially more.
and
And
that's
you don't have to even have expert knowledge on a subject. It can be something that will happen to you. And I'm going to tell you now something personal, not personal, but something relating to me, just to give you an example. I don't know if any of you can see, my hair is shaved off. My hair is shaved off. It's shaved clean. And that's because I've got an autoimmune that attacks my hair follicles. And I decided I'm going to shave off my hair till I've got this fixed, because I can't walk around with just pieces of hair. It just doesn't look good. So I take this rather than that. But look, what am I doing with this? This is a stumbling block in my health journey. However, it's a stepping stone in my growth journey into using the digital platform to in the end of the day earn an income, get my health sorted out. And I'm going to tell you why. Just today, I've partnered with a collaboration called the Gut Bar. It's Numesa, Twin Ferments, Che Gourmet, En Route, Juice for Joy. This is a few companies I've partnered with today, and I'm actually going to partner with some more companies. And what is happening at this stage is I'm going to take this that's a stumbling block in my health and take it onto social media, and it will not just in the end get me viewing hours and get me some treatment options, natural treatment options, basically for free, but it will also help other people with the same problem. And it's just like a snowball, because it's there to help you and to increase your knowledge, to make you better, but it's helping other people as well. And it's just,
yeah.
and that's another thing I love about the digital age. It's everybody, it's like a better type of community, because everybody's helping each other. It's just like a big collaboration. So use whatever you have in your situation to turn it into an income or a betterment of yourself or a betterment of your health, whichever way you want to see it. You don't have to be an expert. You don't need a degree. You just need the oomph and the willpower and some creativity. And then
Yeah.
you need the willpower to sit and to learn, what can you get out of a digital source? What can you get out of a social platform? How do you use it? So sit down, see, Warwick's smiling because he taught me a lot. So sit down and see where you are, where you want to go, and break it down into steps and tasks. What do I need to do to get where I want to be? And just use what's at your disposal. There's a gold mine out there in the digital world. Just use it.
Yeah. It's a true story, Tanya. And I mean, it's something that Medium, if anybody likes to write, for example, or read for that matter, read interesting articles written by people all over the world that are specialists, go to medium.com. Now you can either be a consumer, excuse me, you got three options actually. You can be a consumer, you get onto medium.com and you can read articles to your heart's delight. Or you can be a producer, which means you can sign up. Yeah, that's the one. Thanks, Tanya. hacksmith.ca and medium.com. So you can sign up and be a producer, i.e. you can actually produce content, your own content, because it's linked to your profile and your account in medium.com. And you can write whatever you like. There's umpteen number of categories and or specializations. Cryptocurrency could be one, farming goats could be another, making herbal what do you call it? Making herbal tinctures could be another one. Writing about the news of the day, writing about whatever you like. There's so many things that you could write about. that the world really is your oyster. And how that works is that if you do become a producer, you earn little tokens or little what they call claps, I think it is. And for so many claps, you earn so many US cents. And so if you build up a following, if you create an article a day, for example, in fact, there's somebody that's done this. If you create an article a day for 365 days, which is what this woman did, and some of them were short, some were long, some were medium, excuse the pun, but she wrote on all sorts of things that were going on in her life, things that she was reading about, things that she learned, things that she wanted to learn about and just shared, etc., etc. This is more written content rather than YouTube, which is visual usually. Yeah, she's making a living out of this. That's her job. I say a job now, but now she actually can get passive income because after writing all of these articles, they're going to sit on Medium forever, as long as medium.com's there. Anybody who finds them and clicks on them and reads them will end up giving her a couple of ka-chings in her wallet. You know?
And that's the thing. The beauty of this, you do it once and you get paid as long as it's there.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it every day. It's not, and that's where we get to the fall of the empire, Warwick, because that ties in, because that was what it used to be like, and you're going to tell us now, and now it's just changed. So I don't know if you want to talk about that quickly.
Yeah, so just quickly back to the artificial intelligence. So just be aware, guys, artificial intelligence is coming. It's in the cars, self-drive cars, that's been around for a while, but that's becoming so much more mainstream now. But it's not the only industry that's going to get taken over by robots, essentially. You're going to end up having health. The health sector is going to be a massive one. There's two elements in the health sector. One is that majority of the health, servicing is going to be done by robots. But there's also another side of it, which is epigenetics and the genome DNA type mapping that's been going on. You can now adjust all sorts of things. You can actually give yourself a six-pack by taking an injection. And that injection then will switch off certain genes in your genome, in your DNA, and you'll create an artificial. That's why I'm saying artificial intelligence. It's kind of a misnomer, but in this case, but it's an artificial genetic modification. So GMOs of humans. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, artificial intelligence in the health sector, in the vehicle sector, and in the manufacturing sector. For example, 3D printing is not necessarily artificial intelligence, but 3D printing at the moment. There are machines presently available, probably more commercial size machines, but there are machines that can now print steel and wood-based products using a 3D printer.
Sure.
So I was watching Star Trek last night, the one that goes back to the beginning with when you first meet Spock and what's his name? Captain Kirk, okay. And then when they talk about the energizer, when you ask the machine, what I can't remember what it's called, but you ask the machine to make you a cup of coffee, and boom, there it is. I don't think that's even that far away, because currently they can also, by the way, they can also print some basic organs. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
So in 3 to 5 years, between the works of epigenetics and the genome mapping and that sort of thing, and 3D
scary stuff.
There's a lot of talk that so here's the thing. Just before I move on to the fall of an empire, imagine this: all of us
to get there.
all of us have a DNA. Okay, we all have DNA, and the DNA has a specific roadmap in it. Okay, you've got 2 legs, 2 arms, hopefully all the fingers, toes, da 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 da. You also have a thing of, well, when you get teeth, this is what the teeth come up. You only have 2 sets, so on and so forth. When you get a certain age, you go into puberty. After that, you can now start having babies or making people pregnant, whatever the case. Getting pregnant, making people pregnant, and then there's a certain age where that changes as well. at least for females, right? And then there's a certain point where you start getting gray in your hair, you start losing your eyes and all that stuff. Now, all of that's related back to your genome and your DNA. But all of this is programmable. So you're sitting down, because what does this mean? As far as artificial intelligence or artificial manipulation can go on, is that any one of us, in I reckon about 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe even as soon as now, I think even in some certain circles, if you've got a lot of money and you're not really worried about the FDA and all the regulatory kind of powers, you could, if you had enough money and you had somebody who's prepared to do it in a country that doesn't have FDAs and so on and so forth, regulation type stuff, like the Soviet Union, Cuba, one of those, you could probably do an experimental switch off of your aging process. Okay, you hear what I'm saying?
Oh, I'd like that.
You could reverse. In fact, people are currently experimenting, and this is something you can look up. They're experimenting with reversing of graying of hair. It's been done. It's not a thing that's coming. That's now. It's happening now. This year, that was done successfully. They repigmented gray hair on a human this year. Okay, you understand what I'm saying here? So if you're in the health sector, chances are in the next 5 to 10 years that stuff is going, if you've got enough money to afford it, it's going to be completely disrupted. Like cryptocurrency is disrupting the financial system right now. I think what's going to end up happening is artificial intelligence is going to come in as far as health is concerned, and you're going to end up being able to have an injection. Little nanobots are going to get into your cells and your DNA, and they're going to switch stuff off and switch stuff on, and it's going to be like living in the Matrix kind of stuff, At the fall of an empire. So, yeah, this one, I think China, so, it takes, usually about 100 years for a fall of an empire, maybe a couple, about 50 to 100 years for a fall of an empire, generally speaking. And we've seen the decline of the UK since it's lost its colonies, essentially. And now it's even broken away from the EU as well after joining it. But essentially the States is in big trouble. Okay. So even militarily, they may have big warships and they've got planes and they've got, bombs and all this sort of thing. But they couldn't even handle a pandemic. Okay, so let that sink in. They couldn't handle a pandemic, and neither could the UK. South Africa was sort of so-so. Do you know what China did in 10 days?
Tell us.
They built an entire hospital from scratch.
Crazy.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think the US has become lazy. The US has become, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, if you've heard of that story about the immigrants. So what ends up happening is the immigrants, the first generation of immigrants, they leave with nothing and they arrive with nothing, generally speaking. So they work their butts off, okay, to get themselves ahead of the game. They do whatever needs to be done and they make it work, they make it happen, they learn, they beg, borrow, and hopefully don't steal, but they do the job. They get the job done. They have to take 2 jobs. They take 3 jobs. They think on their feet. They learn fast. They do all sorts. They do whatever needs to be done. The second generation comes along, which are born in that new country, okay, in that new state. The state where they don't have to do all of that stuff, generally speaking. The parents or the people that left the country to immigrate, when they arrived, they sacrificed. They surrendered. They did everything they needed to do to get the kids, the next generation. They gave the kids the leg up. They usually support them to go and get educated and to be able to rise up and get all the best tools that they can get, etc. So the second generation is like, yeah, magic, man. I'm going to work hard because I see my parents are suffering and surrendering and giving a lot of sacrifice to get me to my next, to be a better, have a better opportunity and better life. Yeah, so I'm not going to let them down. I'll make it work and I'll make it happen. The problem is the third generation comes in and they have no recollection or connection to the first generation. Okay. So how does this work with the fall of the empire? Well, essentially that's what's happened with the states. You've got to a point where the states have become kind of like blasé. They've become, we are the power of the world, all this sort of stuff, and they're not anymore. China pretty much produces everything. Just about 80% of the world's goods are produced in China. Some are in Japan, and the rest are in India. Everything else is largely digitally based, digitally created in the States, but physically created elsewhere. Okay. So what's happening there is just it's like, and I know this is a bit of a philosophical talk, but essentially with the downfall of the States and it's not just like the last year, it's been probably about 20 years, 25 years in the making, slowly. And this can be traced back by the use of the dollar in the global trade system. It used to be up to 90% 25 years ago. Okay, it was 90% plus of global trade was done via the dollar. And in most recent times, it's fallen down to about 55, 60%. Okay, so that's a massive drop. And at some point, something's going to tip the scales. And a large portion of, I reckon, of what's been happening behind the scenes, even this pandemic itself, actually, could have been, and I mean, here we go, conspiracy theory, but could have been a backyard battle of wills between the Chinese and the Western world, essentially, but represented by the States, where essentially most of the debt being created in the US is being bought by the Chinese, between the Chinese, the Japanese, and the Indians. And even so, in some cases, what's happened in Europe, especially the UK, the Soviets have done the same. The Russians have done the same in the UK. They pretty much bought all the debt, and they own the countries. They own these countries now. And they're not letting up. I mean, they're not stopping printing money and getting themselves into debt. So the problem with this is that you essentially have the fall of an empire, a fall of a power, a world power that used to be the we are the best, to the we kind of used to be the best. And now it's up for debate who's the best. And essentially, for example, China has had 40 years of growth. Okay, 40 years. If you go and look at what the States has done, that they've declined over that same period. So how does this help us? How does this help us? Well, the problem with Africa is that Africa is being colonized by the Chinese. So the potential problem around that is that Chinese as a culture are communists, and they're also very, so their thinking is very dictatorial, very kind of controlling. And I don't know if you guys heard about, I'm sure you guys, do any of you guys know about Alibaba? Anybody know about Alibaba? Kind of like the Chinese Amazon. Excuse me. Anyway, long story short, the guy who owned, the CEO and owner, the founder of the Chinese Amazon, happened to be on a TV show in an interview, and he had some very mild kind of criticisms of one or two things that were happening in China. And then he disappeared. And now he's on house. He's finally popped up, and he's been put on house arrest. He doesn't run the company anymore. And they've basically stripped him of any of his wealth. He was probably top 100 wealthiest people in the world, and he was about to do an initial public offering, an IPO in the company in the States, okay, as well as in China, and that just went away. So the problem here, guys, fall of what used to be the hope of the world and the hope of the West, so to speak, and this newfound amazing country that stood for good, honest people, and if you worked hard, you would get places and all sort of stuff, which probably still does. Don't take me wrong. Essentially, as a power, as a world power, and therefore its currency, as well as political status, is weakening. And in its place, unfortunately, seems to be the rise of China. And I would say second to that is probably India. So you need to be just aware of this in your life plans, really. It's not something that's going to affect us day by day. But, if we have to wrap, coming up to the end of the time, we're pretty much there. If they have to do some closing comments on this, I think essentially you need to be really aware of these things as a big picture. And I think also just note that Africa is a target for the Chinese. It's been a target for the Chinese for at least a couple of decades, but they are amping up. They need more and more resources, and they're getting it from us in Africa, and they're getting it from us at a cheap rate. And then they industrialize it over there, and they sell it back to us at 5-10 times what they paid for it at. And the problem is that they don't really invest locally. They what they'll do is they'll build a. This is what the Chinese are doing. They build a port, so they'll approach the governments, whatever governments you like, any one of the governments, multiple governments at the same time. They approach the government and they say, "Oh, we'll build your port. It's going to cost you X, but we'll fund it, and then you owe us the money back." Okay. So they go build the port, and it takes them a year to build a port, whereas any other country, well, let's say any other country, but most other countries would have taken maybe 4 or 5 years to build that same port. Okay. And guess what they do? They then turn around to the country and they say, "Hey, we'd like to have our IOU back, please." And the country turns and says, "I don't have the cash. I don't have the mullah at the moment." So China says, "Don't worry about it. We'll just keep the port. Thank you. It's our port. We control it. It's ours. So we will tax you now, and we will charge you import duties and fees for running this port. And it's ours forever from now on. Thank you." They're also stripping us of all of our wood, especially our what you call it, the specialized woods. Things like moringa and ironwood, and there's another one. I know it's happening, it's also especially happening. Black ivory. It's happening a lot in Namibia. The forests there being cleared out, and this stuff fetches, one log will fetch $10,000 on the market, for example. One trunk can fetch $10,000 on the market. It's insane. But anyway, guys, so in closing, how do we use this to our advantage? I think, I'm not an advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. So all of this is my opinion, okay? I think we should have said that up front as well. But anyway, saying it now. I think as far as cryptocurrencies go, we can at least bench ourselves against this inflation story, because it's going to happen around the world. You know, all the banks, all the reserve banks were printing trillions of whatever currency they have and they run. And on top of that, cryptocurrency is offering the opportunity, it's offering competition to those same currencies. Okay, so not only are you going to have inflation with regards to the hyperinflation with regards to foodstuffs, cars, appliances, all that sort of thing, the devaluation of all of our currencies around the world. But now you also have cryptocurrency that's coming in and saying, hey, we're an alternative. You know, what's going to end up happening is because there's a devaluation of reserve bank currency, so your rand, the dollar, the pound, the euro, even the won, because those are devaluing rather, there's a very good likelihood that cryptocurrencies are going to increase in order to match the inflationary move that would need to take place. So what does this mean? Essentially, something like Bitcoin could go to, let's say, $70,000. And the reason for that is it's not necessarily the reason. It's not necessarily the reason why most people would like to think it's going to happen. It's not just because there are maybe more people getting involved in Bitcoin. It's also there's a kind of like a fundamental thing going on here, is that if the dollar today is worth $1, and then next year it's going to be worth, the same dollar could only buy you 90 cents worth of goods or value in a year's time, you've lost 10%, right? That's 10% inflation. So what could happen is that people that are seeing this and seeing the risk in the dollar failing as a system, as a global currency, is that they're moving their dollars into cryptocurrency. And the fact is that over time, that will force, it's like the gold price. You know, a lot of people run, the old day in the industrial age, people would run to gold as a safe haven. And there's a lot of chatter about people actually moving to cryptocurrencies for the same reason now. And that is what's also partly pushing the price of cryptocurrencies up, the likelihood of it continuing to move up, simply because the value of the dollar is no longer $1. $1 doesn't equal $1. So if it drops to 90 cents, then your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or whatever it could be is likely to move up by 10% to match it. Okay, so just keep that in mind as far as cryptocurrencies, hyperinflation goes, etc., etc. But yeah, let's take some quick questions. Anybody got questions, guys? Let's shoot, because we've got to wrap up. It's a lot to cover.
I know Ink Pirate wanted to say something.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you, Barry.
Okay. So regarding the NFTs, the good and bad about that. The great thing about an NFT is, like, because I do art, if I sell a painting for 10,000 Rand to you and you resell it, I don't get a cent of that. I mean, it stops with you. But when you sell NFTs, every time you sell it, the artist gets about 10% for life on that specific artwork. So
wow.
that is an amazing thing. But the problem comes in also, like, to upload one NFT picture, the average is about between $60 and $80 for like the cheapest, and $100 to $200 for the most, better platforms. Then the other negative thing is that what I said about damaging the environment. The thing is, they've worked out that I think the lifetime of one NFT, the power it uses, it's about 4 tons of carbon a year for that one picture. That is just one. And I mean, there's like millions of NFTs online. So it literally, the power that needs to be generated to run these platforms is just, it's like millions of tons of carbon. So that's where the negative. But like you say, it's positive for artists, because I mean, usually digital artists never got money from, it's not a physical thing. Usually you just get paid like for a project, where physical art did well. But now digital art is getting a chance. But like I said, unfortunately, there's a good and a bad. If I can say that. But otherwise, it's a great idea.
As
and
in
I'm
everything.
sure in the future Yeah, I'm sure in the future they'll maybe get a better way or thing to do it. But for now, of course, I was going to upload art. But when I read the articles, I was a bit, because I love environmental things, I just couldn't do it. I tried, but I couldn't get past that part.
Well, an alternative maybe, Barry, and that's a good point, though. Thanks for bringing it up. But I mean, maybe there's an opportunity in that cost, if that makes sense, right? So there's an opportunity cost, whereas, yeah, okay, do I pay the $60? Do I pay the $120 to get my NFT on there? Okay, cool. So then I need to at least sell my stuff for $120 to break even.
Definitely.
But all right, so that's point number one. Point number two is, okay, so one must take into consideration, and the same thing I think goes for all cryptocurrency, right? There is a CO2 skeleton in the cupboard. Okay,
Yes.
the carbon skeleton in the cupboard, because all of cryptocurrency has to have a server running somewhere, and there's probably thousands of them. Okay, if not millions, hundreds of thousands of them running around, and all of them chew up power. So they do have a CO2 what do you call a footprint. So here's an opportunity cost. So one, you've got NFTs, you want to do that, you've got to pay up to $120. Let's say you sell it for $500. So what could you do? You could bank that $500 minus your 120, and now you got $380, right? So you could decide to take 10% of that, which would be $38, right? If math is right, or even 10% of your 500, which is $50, and actually put that into a reforesting program or charity.
Definitely.
So you could still use the system per se, but with a green what do you call it, offsetting, if that makes sense. So you could take your 10%, and it doesn't have to be 10%. You could make it whatever percent you want, or don't at all. I'm just saying, in your perspective, for your example, you could take 10%, 20%, whatever it is, and actually state this as part of your mission, right? And you could turn around and say, yeah, cool, I'm going to take my 10% of my selling price, whatever that might be, $50 on $500, and I'm going to put that towards a in fact, there's quite a cool project I've seen coming around at the moment, Trees for Bees, for example. And yes. If you donate, I think they're in a couple of the big brands now. I think they're in some of the shopping chains in South Africa at the moment as well, getting into those, which is pretty cool. So you could put your $50, and I think that'll go a long way, taking $50, for example, and saying, yeah, this is for my contribution towards the CO2 from my NFT.
Yeah, and I think I'll be very quick. Sorry. The interesting thing is, though, I did do, Amazon thing. I already published about 20 books, and I think the last 3 years, it's one of those things you do it once, and it's been bringing me money in, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, brilliant, man.
Yeah. So thank you.
Can I just say something as well, Barry? There's another opportunity. You are not going to be able to stop NFTs, and I know that story about the sea stars, you save one at a time, that's fine. Yes. But it's not going to be stopped. So why not use the platform to educate? So turn your art into an educating platform. What is this doing to the environment? And still do your donation if you want, but use it to get people thinking,
to inform and share. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do environmental art, and I do projects like for the rhinos and those things. So that's definitely my direction. But yeah, I'll think about it like that. I mean, it's good advice.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's lekker, because what we're doing at the moment is we're using wildlife. We're using wildlife poof, right? What do you call it? Kak.
Yeah.
As we're promoting that now. Well, we have been promoting it for about 6 months already, as for beekeepers. So we're experimenting now with firelighters as well. And then so what we're gonna do is we're gonna redonate as well. We're gonna donate back to the rhino guys and the other parks that we're gonna get animal. I don't know. This is gonna be YouTube, so I can't use the word, can I? it's animal, what's you call manure, right? Basically. So yeah, animal gold, exactly. So we're going to be using that, which is totally recyclable dung. Thanks, Andrew and Barry. Yeah, thanks. It's been a long day. I've been moving all day, but yeah, cool. So if you guys, you know, just think of a little bit out of the box. You know, I think we've given you guys a lot of ideas. I think cryptocurrency is here. I think the dollar's out. Just like they unhooked the gold to the dollar in 1971, I think the dollar is going to be unhooked in 2021. Maybe not quite 2021, but it's on its way anyway. Yeah,
Is there any other comments or questions? Andrew, did you want to say something maybe?
I didn't really wanted to say something. So I want to say the crypto market is huge, but still it is so small. We're still in the beginning stages. That's all.
Yeah, it's a good time to get in.
Yeah.
I think
That's good. Thanks, Andrew.
I want you guys to think about this. Think about crypto like, because I think a lot of us were around at the time. Think about the internet. 1990, 1991, the internet just started in South Africa. It's been around a little bit earlier, 98, 88 or so in America. But it just started 1991, 1990. And look where we are now. Okay, it's 40 years later. 30 rather. 30 years later. Look how entrenched and embedded the internet is in the world right now in 30 years. Now, crypto started in 2008, 2009. We're 12 years ahead. Somebody, one of my mates who I hold in quite high regard, you know, he made a comment, you know, but it's been 12 years already. And I'm like, dude, do you know how long it took for cars to take off? Yeah. How long did it take for cars to actually take off? I think
I've heard this question before, but I forgot the answer.
I think it was 23. Was it 23 years?
Something like that.
I think it was 20. It was 20 odd years for cars to actually fully be taken up as a system, if you like, because it needed to have garages. There needed to be mechanics. There needed to be fuel stations. There needed to be roads in the first place, etc., etc., etc. It took 20 odd years for cars to come into play. Now, if you look at the internet, which was really technologically, you know, coming into a technologically savvy kind of culture and time of our existence, and it's 30 years down the line, and look how entrenched it is. Same with cell phones. When they first came out, you walked around with a brick, and the battery lasted 2 hours, and you couldn't even send a message on it. Okay. Look at cell phones now, man. I'm literally talking to you guys on my phone in the car. This thing's worth more than a laptop, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's because it is like a little laptop, you know? And the opportunities of being able to do things with these things with a phone is just phenomenal. So cryptocurrency, keep that in mind, you know, as a big picture idea, concept. It's been around 12 years, give or take. Where to from here? That's the thing. And think about Ready Player One. You know, think about that movie. If you haven't watched the movie, go read it. Steven Spielberg, I recommend it. It's awesome. But that could be where things are actually leading to, which is a bit bizarre. You know,
which
it's
movie?
A bit crazy. Sounds fun. Ready Player One. Steven Spielberg.
Ready Player One.
It's a book first, and he turned it into a movie.
I'll go check it.
It's
great.
Pretty, but yeah, have a look at it, and it basically shows how people start living in a virtual, you know, they start living in virtual worlds. They have this physical world that they live in, and then there's a virtual world, and it feels a lot like in the next 5 to 10 years that we're going to be moving into that a lot more into having this tandem life. On the one hand, you know, like a tandem bike, you know, on one hand you're pedaling in your real life and you're pedaling away, and then the seat behind you is going to be your virtual persona, you know. And if you think about it, it's not that far-fetched, because we're already doing this, guys. We're already doing this on Facebook. I have my own physical persona right here. Here I am, you know. Here I am, touch wood. And then on Facebook, I've got a digital persona already. That digital persona could be anything I make it up to be. Nobody will know any different except for my, you know, my direct friends, my circle, actually. You know, I mean, you could go on YouTube and talk about, and this is where artificial intelligence is probably going to end up going as well, in closing, is that
Closing, yeah.
Anonymity is going to become the new, a new thing, because things are going digital, becoming virtual. Okay, I'll be able to change my voice. I will be able to change the way I appear as well. So you will have no idea who is behind this persona right here, and I could change it every day if I wanted to. So what does this mean for us? Well, this means that in terms of, aside from my accent, perhaps, but I could also probably change that too. I'd be able to change that. Not only my accent, but even I could change my voice from being male to female, or from being sultry and sexy to, I don't know, right? That's where this artificial intelligence in software is going, where basically we can become anonymous, and things like what do you call it, racism and all this sort of stuff goes away, because you're not going to know who I am actually in my virtual world. You're not going to know how I look unless I want you to see the way I look. How I want you to see me is how you're going to see me. How I'm going to sound is how I want you to hear me, not necessarily how I am. Think about that. That's quite bizarre. It's literally like Avatar, the movie Avatar, where the guy, his consciousness goes into the alien's body, and now he's all of a sudden perceived as something alien. You know, not that I'm saying that we need to become aliens, but my point is that it's, you could you could rewrite your entire being through artificial intelligence software. And that's
Scary stuff.
you can change your voice already, you know. But some of the simple stuff we're seeing now, like when you can put little things on your face when you're talking on the phone and things like that. I mean, that's the simple stuff. That's the fun stuff that's happening right now. But what's going to happen with artificial intelligence is that you're going to think you're talking to somebody on the phone, and it's not a person. You know, it's going to be software. Anyway, guys, awesome to talk. It's quite philosophical.
That was lovely.
Probably a lot to take in. I know it was a bit of a what do you call it? A monologue. Sorry. If you are new to us, it's not normally like this, okay? Just so that you know. Hopefully you found it informative. And if you do have any other questions, bounce some questions in the chat. We always can see that afterwards. And then we'll share this on YouTube probably over the weekend, where you guys, if you want to re-watch it or check out the replay, then please join us there. You can like and subscribe. Join us on our subscription mailing list so you can check out what our next talks are going to be about. Last month, we actually gave away what did we give away, Tanya?
A beehive.
Beehive, woo! Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, so we're most likely going to be looking at some other prize over the next couple of months as well. And but there's lots going on. We always have good, I think, some interesting talks and cool subjects. So if there's something you guys talk about around homesteading, beekeeping, something sci-fi-ish like this, then give us a shout. Let us know. We're always interested to see what people are interested in learning about.
And also, yeah, we want to know what you want to hear as well, so we can chat some
Yeah.
more. And guys, also, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Warwick,
now.
can you hear me? Okay. We also want to know what you guys would like to talk about. So give us some ideas of what you would like to hear. And then also the Instagram handle I put there, Guts and Glory 101, is my brand new Instagram handle. There's nothing even on there yet. But if you want to follow my journey of my guts, healing them all, and getting my hair grown again, you are welcome, because there's going to be some seriously good stuff on there. And it's going to be good for your health too, because you're going to learn a lot about probiotics and the microbiome, etc. So that's the idea of Guts and Glory 101. But it will be on self-sufficient homesteading and gardening. I will be posting stuff too, and also on my YouTube channel. So yes, go have a look.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Take it easy and have a good one, yeah?
Thanks for joining us.
Good luck with all the research and looking up all the stuff that we talked about if you're interested, if you want to dig deeper. But if you do want to dig deep, a bit more information, then just give us a shout. I'm on, mine's Beware ZA on Facebook, and moving house at the moment and moving shop. Can you believe it? Two at the same time.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you. I'm also available if you want, and if I don't know, I'll ask Warwick. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a lovely evening.
Take it easy,
Bye-bye.
guys. Ciao.